Instagram hashtags have changed a lot over the past year or two, and they are no longer the same as what they once were. So today I'll be covering what these changes are, if hashtags are dead, how to use them to maximize growth if that's even possible, what tools are still relevant, and how many you should be using. So let's get right into it. Just make sure you like the video and subscribe if you are new. I've also just launched a podcast interviewing highly successful digital entrepreneurs who have built their businesses and finding out how they did it, a lot of which who have done so on Instagram and social media. So I'll link that down below. So the biggest change that's been made to hashtags since about 7 years ago when I first started out on the platform is that hashtags are no longer the only form of reach. Nowadays, there is an algorithm which can push your content. And whilst it's very popular to hate on the algorithm and complain about it, without it, you're actually pretty screwed. Back then when I started out, you could only really discover new content through looking at hashtags. You would simply search hashtag motivation to find a bunch of motivational content. And then you could discover new pages that you enjoyed that you could then follow and add to your main home feed. The only other real growth strategies as a creator were doing things like shout out for shout out, where you would find pages in your niche with a similar following and similar audience. You would promote them, they would promote you, both pages would grow, everyone was happy. You also had the likes of follow unfollow and the comment strategy from Gary Vee and those sort of people, but that was about it. And hashtags were the only real place that people could go to discover new content, which meant they were very, very, very important. Nowadays, however, discovery is more often done by the algorithm for people. So instead of someone having to proactively go out there and search for content they want, the Instagram algorithm looks at what they're interacting with, how they behave on the platform, and they push content out there for them that they think they will enjoy. And since the algorithm has been collecting data and working on improving these systems for years and years, with billions of dollars spent on it, they're getting pretty good at it. This is done nowadays through the Explore page as well as SEO, which is almost like the new and improved version of hashtags. So the role of hashtags has evolved a lot from what it once was to what it now is today, which is what I'm going to be going through. So first things first, I just want to say right off the bat, hashtags are not dead. Anyone telling you that they are is simply wrong. However, if you're using old, outdated strategies and trying to play the same games that worked 4 or 5 years ago with hashtags, then you're probably not going to be seeing much reach, hence why you're probably not growing much, hence why you probably think hashtags are dead. On top of that, the results and the reach that you will generate by using the right hashtags is not always simply tracked in hashtag reach on your content. I know that sounds confusing, but I'll get into it later. So how should you actually be using hashtags in 2022 to get awesome results? Because on top of the changes that I've just discussed about hashtags, the creator account also came out last year and said you should only be using 3 to 5 hashtags. All of this information leads to one big conclusion. Hashtags are less about showing up on the actual hashtag pages themselves, like ranking as a top post on a certain hashtag, and more about explaining to the algorithm what your content is all about so that they can push it to the right people who are actually interested in it, whether it be through the Explore page where they are recommending it to people, or whether it be showing up on a search term, such as when someone searches motivation on Instagram, they are not just shown the hashtag pages, they're actually shown all of this content, which is like SEO compared to the old version of hashtags. And having less hashtags makes it easier for the algorithm to understand what your content is all about. Because if you have 5 highly targeted hashtags, it is much easier for the algorithm to recognize what it's all about, as opposed to trying to put in 25 to 30 and maybe using some that are less relevant just to fill up the spots. Hence why the creator's account would make a suggestion like this. It would make sense. And Instagram has drastically improved the search capabilities to scour through captions and content and aggregate all of the data to show the right content to people searching. Which means nowadays, instead of approaching hashtags with the goal of showing up on the hashtag itself, which is what I recommended in the past, which was always the best strategy, which by the way will still give you some reach, you should instead think about it as classifying your content so the algorithm knows who to push it to. Because if the algorithm is confused and the hashtags aren't targeted or aren't relevant or there's too many, it'll be tricky for them to understand who's actually going to benefit from this content. And usually, if they don't know who to show it to, they will not show it to anyone because there is a risk that it will perform badly. And when they can push a safe post from a creator they know, like, trust, and understand, compared to a riskier post from a newer creator with less of an established audience and conflicting hashtags, they're always going to go for the safe one. Hence the suggestion to use 3 to 5 hashtags, because it would force you to pick the most relevant one. In saying this, we have still seen, especially on some of our larger accounts, great results from using 20 or 25 or 30 hashtags, as long as they are all relevant. And in the past, when I've made videos about hashtags that have done pretty well on YouTube, I will go look through the comments and I see a ton of feedback from all of you legends out there who engage with the videos, sharing your own results. Some of you have seen insane results switching from 20 or 25 hashtags to using 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Others, the other way around. You were using a few hashtags, getting no results, you switched to using more and saw insane results. We'll touch on exactly how many to use later. Now, as for where you should put your hashtags, it's simple. Put them in your captions, not your comments. Last year on a post on the Instagram blog, they made it very clear. They said if you put your hashtags into the caption, you can rank in search. Whereas if they're in the comments, you cannot. So if you want to be ranking in the search feature of Instagram, which is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, you want to put them in the caption, and there is no downside to putting them there. So you might as well take that additional reach. Now, should you still be using tools like Flick or other hashtag tools where you can sort of put in keywords and try and find the right hashtags to use? Well, in my opinion, yes. Now, obviously I am an affiliate for Flick, but I hope by this point in my channel, those of you who watch the videos understand that I don't talk about products just for the sake of making an income. As many of you know, I don't take brand deals on the channel. I've taken a couple years ago, but recently I don't take brand deals. I don't really promote any products as an affiliate aside from Flick, TubeBuddy, and Canva, because they're products that I actually use and like. And that's because they work and they will get results for you. I would never take a brand deal or promote something as an affiliate that didn't work just to make an income. I already make a full-time income, more than a full-time income from my consulting and agency. So the things I recommend are things that actually work and will help you. However, in the past, using a tool like Flick, the goal was almost to find as many hashtags as possible that you could fill up in your content. I would try and find sets of 30 hashtags, and I would try and make 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 sets of 30 hashtags, chuck them in my content and try and rank on as many hashtags as possible to grow the account. And that worked years ago. Instead, I think you should use it to find a handful of really targeted hashtags that get good amounts of traffic each day and that your content does rank on, so it can get pushed in the SEO side of things. You can use the tracking tools inside of Flick to find which ones are performing the best for you. You can use their auditing tools to make sure that you aren't using flagged hashtags that could lead to you getting shadow banned on Instagram. And you can also use their account analytics tool to look at what content is performing better. You can get things like engagement rates of how many people liked your content based on how many people actually saw it, which is your real engagement rate compared to looking at your followers, whereas they're not seeing all of your content. So yes, I would still be using tools like that, but I would switch up your approach from trying to get as many hashtags as possible to trying to get targeted ones that are yielding the best results. There is a free trial link below if you want to try it out. It's not sponsored by them. I am an affiliate though. So by this point in the video, we've discussed how hashtags have changed. We've discussed if they're dead, which they're not, and how you should be using them to maximize growth. Finally, as for how many hashtags you should be using, I did touch on this earlier in the video, but here's my final verdict. There is no magical number that will improve your reach. I know this is a bit of a cop-out to say in a video, but it genuinely does come down to testing a range of hashtag sizes, numbers, and seeing what gets results. Hence the importance of using a tool like Flick or getting really deep into your own data that you can see in your own analytics dashboard. My advice is to follow the things I've discussed so far in this video. 1, make sure you are only using hashtags that are actually targeted and relevant to the content you are posting. Do not use things like hashtag follow for follow, hashtag like for like, hashtag love, hashtag whatever. Generic hashtags, outfit of the day. Don't use really generic hashtags. Use ones that are highly targeted to your content and your account. 2, put these hashtags into the caption, not the comments. And 3, as for how many to use, if you are currently using 20 or 25 hashtags and you are not seeing results, which is probably why you've clicked on this video, then try using 3, 4, 5, 6 hashtags in your content for your next 5 to 10 posts and see if you find any improvement whilst posting similar content. On the other hand, if you saw that post by the creator's account and you straight away switched to 5 hashtags a year ago and you haven't been seeing results, try going back to using 15, 20, 25 hashtags and seeing if your results improve over the next 5 to 10 posts. And if you see a difference in one of these, then go for it. However, as mentioned, don't try and force it to add in more hashtags. Don't add irrelevant hashtags just to make up the numbers. Only use relevant ones. Because honestly, over the past year, of the accounts that I own, of the accounts that we run for clients, of the hundreds, probably actually thousands of you who have commented on my videos about hashtags specifically, leaving your own feedback, we have seen no trend in how many is the perfect amount. We've very lightly seen that with larger accounts, more is better, because Instagram often have a lot of data already on who likes this content, who's engaging with it, etc. So if you've got hundreds of thousands of followers, I would guess that more hashtags is better. If you've got less followers, it can be either, but it just does come down to testing. I'm sorry to say that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, if you got something out of it, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend. On top of that, like I mentioned at the start, I've launched a brand new podcast where every week I'm sitting down and chatting with a highly successful digital entrepreneur to break down how they did it, what mistakes they made, and what worked for them, so that hopefully you can learn from that to speed up your own journey. So if you want to check that out, that's linked below. I would highly appreciate it if you listened, left a review, told a friend, because I want to grow that and bring some more great guests on to show to you guys. So that's it from the video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you all in the next one.